Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. This is Rosemary Levesque with Second Nature Healing, and we're just going to go ahead and get started now with the Healer's Journey webinar learning series. This is number 11 in the series, and it is called Healing Math. I'm wondering how many people watching this webinar or listening in are wondering, what the heck is healing math? And I have to tell you that this is something that felt important to me more as a metaphor rather than mathematical calculations. What was going through my mind is, oh no, are people going to think this is numerology? No. If you're looking for numerology, no, that's not this. You can skip it, I guess, but I'd really like you to stay. Let's just go on and talk about what's happening. I'm Rosemary. I'm the author of Second Nature Healing is a book that I am writing. It is not published yet, but I am the author of Heal Together: Natural Health Solutions for Animals and Their Humans. I am an Usui Tibetan Reiki Master, a Karuna Reiki Master, and an Illumination Reiki Master, and a few other wonderful magical things. And it just brings a lot of joy to my heart to be out here in the world as teacher and guide. Many years I was a biology teacher and enjoyed that aspect of my life a lot. And now I'm enjoying teaching, but in a slightly different way. Rather than provide you with a disclaimer, we don't do that. We have a proclamation instead. The information, thoughts, and ideas presented here honor your intentions to empower you with natural choices that support personal well-being, conveyed with compassion, truth, and openness. Our intention is to help you see beyond the filters of disclaimers which tend to support a one-sided approach to the health industry. We also proclaim that we are whole, vibrant beings in physical form, and maintain sovereignty to nourish, support, and empower our lives with divine gifts and a natural ability to heal. And I encourage you to add to that proclamation. This is something I haven't asked you to do before, but I'll send it out in a follow-up email to everyone who is on my list, that perhaps we can tweak this a little bit and make it more personal for you. When I wrote this, I was feeling pretty disgruntled with disclaimers and wanted to make sure that we were speaking from a place of empowerment rather than a place of, gee, I have to be careful I don't say this or don't say that. No, we're going to really speak what we want to speak, and we are going to proclaim what we want to proclaim as we have a right to. So that's what this is all about. Today's topic is healing math, and in previous webinars, you can have access to those if you go to YouTube. There's a YouTube channel that I have that has all of the Healer's Journey webinars on it. You can connect to YouTube through my blog, through being on my list. You can also get downloads sent directly to your inbox for that. Now, over the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes, maybe just 30 today, I hope you'll resonate with some of the questions presented here and know that you are not alone. In fact, my daughter was talking to me just yesterday about the Schumann resonance, and I'll probably send you some follow-up information on that. If that's something that you're not familiar with, the Schumann resonance is the heartbeat of the earth. It is the awakening of people, and for many, 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 many years, it has been at a fairly low, around 7, 6, 5, somewhere in there range, and it is up it is up to 30-something now. So the Schumann resonance, the heartbeat of the mass consciousness, is rising. So why is that rising? We're waking up, folks. We are raising the consciousness. We are raising the vibration of human consciousness and awareness, and stepping forward on our journey to bring this kind of higher vibration to everybody. So good job, everyone, for everyone who's watching and listening. At the end of the presentation, I'll share a few tools to help you get started, as well as a chance to learn more. And of course, we'll have another webinar next week. I'm kind of having fun with this, and I hope you are too. And of course, there's always an opportunity to reach out for personal mentoring, supportive classes, intuitively guided healing sessions, and I'll share with you how to do that at the end of the webinar. Okay, if you're ready, let's get started. I've put together a few math terms for you. Now, years ago, when I was in grade school, there was talk of the new math. It seems like that's a term that I've heard repeated. Math is, there's always a new way of looking at numbers, I suppose. But the new math back when I was in grade school was supposed to make calculations easier. There was a different way to teach math, apparently, and I don't know what they meant by new math, but I got the math. I understood it, and I excelled in math and in science. Those were great topics for me. And now, so I've been contemplating a different kind of math, and I call it healing math. And I'd like you to consider it more as a metaphor, and I'll explain each one. We're going to be on this one slide. If you're watching, we'll be on this one slide for a little while. Now, the whole idea just fascinates me, and I hope it resonates with you as well. I will throw in a little science because I'm a science geek, and I hope you like that too. All right, math terms. The first one, addition. As we live our lives and experience many situations, conversations, relationships, etc., we add to our life records. We learn and grow. We become more something. What are we becoming more of? Are we becoming smarter, healthier, richer? Are we becoming more compassionate and kinder? Are we getting what we want out of life by adding? And perhaps we're adding more stuff. Now, we've talked about stuff in previous webinars, and these are things, experiences, toxins, and emotions that fill a void, but may not have value. Now, value in math, a value is something assigned to a symbol, a number, etc., in order to represent something in a calculation. It's a placeholder. We assign values to our experiences, relationships, emotions, and even our stuff. A value is how we feel about something, and it's personal. However, when we talk about value in healing math, we're not going to assign any judgment to it, good or bad, big or little. Value in healing math is something that can be measured in terms of our awareness. Even bad, horrible, traumatic experiences can have great value, especially in terms of spiritual growth. Subtraction. In math calculations, we can easily subtract one number from another number without much thought. In healing math, when we subtract, are we or is someone else deducting something from the wholeness of who we are? Are we losing a piece of our soul? In a previous webinar, we talked about wholeness and the idea that we are whole beings. And though this is true, We may feel like a part of our wholeness is somewhere out there, a little disconnected. You can visualize this idea as if God, Spirit, Divine, is a candle, and we stand right there in the light with God, in the light with the Divine. Yet, part of our soul feels like it's in the darkness, a little farther from the light. This might appear as fear, doubt, depression, disease, injury, depleted energy, anger and hatred, aggression, or any number of lower vibrations we've experienced. So subtraction, has anything taken away from how we feel about ourselves, about our wholeness? And I'm not saying that all of subtraction is a bad thing or a good thing. Before we started the call tonight, I heard one of our listeners talk about, I did a deep cleaning today. Well, she did some subtraction, right? She got rid of some stuff. In that case, it was a really good experience and she felt great. Okay, continuing on with math terms. Division. Are you starting to cringe yet? Am I hitting points of memories of people having trouble with math? Well, in math, we were all shown long division and short division. And doing long division showed us the process of how one number fits into another number. And as we tediously wrote the whole process, we finally were able to understand there's a shorter, faster, easier way to divide. In healing math, the process of doing the work is important to learn. We need to understand the benefits and consequences of our calculations, the actions we take in life. Numbers don't always fit into other numbers. And we see that things don't always work out evenly in our lives. Moving on to fractions. Whole numbers expressed with a line of division between them may have put us off in grade school when we first saw them. 3/4 or 3/4, 2/3, 7/8, and even 10/4, 12/9, or 111 thirds. So they're all just numbers. They've got a line between them, and we're supposed to either think about them either as a whole, you know, are they a whole? They're a whole entity, but they're divided. It's an interesting way to see oneself too, right? We are whole entities, but are we experiencing any fractioning in us, in our spirituality? In healing math, we may feel like we've given up parts of ourselves, sacrificed, lost our sense of purpose, given up our identity to fit someone else's expectations, perhaps? Maybe those are fractions less than one. In fractions greater than one, we may feel that we're carrying the load for others around us in service and care for others, but with resentment, expressing power and control over others, or in unprotected weakness, being the wagon that gets on for the ride. None of these situations is healthy, but our awareness, the value of fractions, can have healing magic for us. Okay, borrowing and carrying. Now, in the standard functions of math we've already discussed, there's an idea of borrowing and carrying, ways in which we shuffle numbers from the tens place to the ones place, for example, and back, in order to transfer value and do the calculations. Even in science, we look at borrowing and carrying electrons, for example, as energy moves through chemical reactions in the body. In both math and science, there's little difference in the concept of borrowing and carrying. The whole remains whole. Both sides of the equation are, well, equal, right? That's what an equation is. Both energy and value is transferred in order to function. So on paper, where you're trying to fill in numbers, mathematical numbers, situations to get something equal, it may not be that way in life situations. In healing math, we also borrow and carry physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We borrow night hours of rest to have more daytime or work time. Then, if we become ill, we borrow once again, this time from day to gain more sleep to assist in healing. We carry emotional loads from dear ones in our family or from the stress we see in the world. We hope that someone is there for us to help carry our load when we need it. Spiritually, we stuff our backpacks with prayers and practices for our life's journey. Or maybe we don't. The focus on borrowing and carrying is not only to carry out the function, but also to maintain a sense of balance. Now I say a sense of balance, yet balance really isn't the goal. I hear people say, I want more balance in my life. I need to balance my chakras, right? Have you heard those things before? Yeah, balance. It's not really the goal. We don't want every day to be the same, for all events to be equal, for relationships to stagnate. If we were totally balanced, equal every time, there'd be no reason to seek out ways in which to correct, grow, and change. So equations on paper aren't necessarily what we want in our healing math. Well, let's talk for a moment about a science experiment that was done many years ago. It was in 1648, and you science nerds out there may also remember this science experiment. There was a scientist named Johannes Baptista van Helmont, and in 1648 he used a 5-pound willow tree planted in a pot of soil to demonstrate that the mass of trees as they grow does not come from soil, but rather from water. Now, remember what I said. He had a 5-pound willow tree. He planted it in soil, and he was only going to water it. He watered it for 5 years. What do you think the tree did? Did it grow? Yeah, the tree grew. He only watered the tree. It was a 5-year experiment, and the tree weighed in at about 169 pounds after 5 years, and the soil weighed about the same as when he began the experiment. His conclusion, or a conclusion that could be derived from that scientific experiment, is that the tree's mass came from the water he added to the soil. And somehow that tree grew from water. Now, back then there wasn't hydroponics. We didn't know about that. But even so, he left something out, or there's something missing from this equation, right? His conclusion failed to take into account the energy of the sun, without which the tree would have failed to grow. Now we know, of course, that photosynthesis allowed for the growth of the tree through the transformation of one type of energy, the solar energy, into another, matter, physical substance. So transformation here is something that isn't on this list, but it is really important to healing math. It is the ingredient that we are looking for. Energy. Energy is. And we can say, in our science background, we can say energy is neither created nor destroyed. It just changes from one form to another. There is some element of an equation there, but I would like to say that we don't know everything. We don't know anything. We can talk about this stuff all day, but there's a whole lot of stuff that we're just beginning to ask questions about. Now, can energy allow us to grow? Our lives are not so different from these basic math and science concepts. Applying these concepts to healing may mean we have to look more deeply at ourselves. Sensing when we are carrying too much, we might need to let go. Letting go of who we are, we might feel we lose our identity, our personal power, our value. However, it's within the scope of process that we borrow and carry, add and subtract, etc., to function day to day. Like the tree in Van Helmont's experiment, we grow and transform. Now we get into advanced math. And just like in regular math, there's always more, right? Calculus, physics, vectors, derivatives, waves and particles. Is any of this making sense to you? They all make way for greater understanding of our expansive world. Now, when I studied these topics, I found it helpful to have extra study time and some help from knowledgeable teachers. I remember my brother was a physicist, and he helped me with some physics and calculus back in the day. In healing math, we may also need to become aware of advanced energies for healing. Soul retrieval, extractions, accessing akashic records, understanding karma, and protecting your energies. And we'll talk about these more later. In fact, these advanced healing topics are part of our mastery program with Illumination Reiki. Now, advanced math isn't for everyone. And though I enjoyed calculus and physics, I didn't want to become proficient in their use. I preferred biology and chemistry, subjects that served me well over the years. Advanced healing math isn't for everyone either. You might even be skeptical of some of the common concepts I've mentioned. Yet, written in our DNA, our codes we have yet to unravel. You know, the adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, uracil, phenylalanine, all of the bases that make up DNA and RNA within the nucleus of our cells, they're all there. They're all moving. They all contain information. They're all sequenced. They've been studied, and yet a tiny percentage, maybe 1% of the coding for DNA is understood. But our lack of understanding doesn't mean that something doesn't exist, right? So I've always thought of, gee, what if DNA codes astral travel? What if DNA codes something in us that if we tap into it, we can exist in more than one dimension at the same time? Well, yes, why not? Of course. Just because we don't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And so we can throw out a lot of the processes, a lot of the trying to create balance, trying to find equality, trying to make things make sense, because we don't really know. But what we do know is that we can go through the process and we can be part of a transformation. The codes and chemicals, electrons, vibrations, and information we have value for us, way beyond our current understanding and awareness. We are called as healers to do this work. It's big stuff, and not for everybody. You might want some tutoring, like I had. So in advanced healing math, I hope I'm not scaring anybody here, but this is the kind of stuff that that I was clueless about many years ago. I didn't have a feeling for what karma was or what protecting my energy meant. I didn't have a feeling for soul retrieval. What do you mean, soul retrieval? What do you mean I lost a piece of myself? Or what do you mean I'm carrying somebody else's stuff? What does that mean? And it's kind of hard to decipher, to go through on your own, especially if you're just starting out. And so I'd like to suggest that you just continue. Continue asking questions. Continue on your journey. Continue taking classes, maybe even receiving healing sessions. Go get a massage, read some books, and do some of this work, which is part of the process of getting into some of that advanced stuff. Now, I will ask you to please be careful, because it's not that you can get into trouble with any of this stuff, but it could be uncomfortable if you're going too fast, or if you're not guided, or if you don't know what you're doing. It would be a better experience for you if you had some guidance on this. And so that's all I'm saying about that. I would love to be able to guide you through some of this. And as I said, we do, Michelle and I do offer these in our mastery program, because this is big work. This is important work, and it is needed at the very basic level. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. We talked about the Schumann resonance and how the vibration of the planet is increasing. And yet there are many people who are either unwilling to fall in to that idea. There are people who are resisting. There are people who are skeptical, and that's okay. It's part of their process. But we get to hold the candle, and we get to stand close to that light if we are saying yes to this work. There's DNA, and if you can see the picture there, there's a picture of DNA. There's DNA, and then there's soul DNA. I love this idea of soul DNA. What is in your DNA right now, today, that is being coded, actively being coded and vibrating, so that even after your soul has left its physical body, your soul DNA will carry on in some way? Isn't that exciting? And isn't it also exciting to think that the way your DNA exists right now, in this moment, you can actually have a hand in transforming? You can do the math. You can do the healing math that will allow your soul DNA to transform, to grow, to transcend, to vibrate at a higher frequency and contribute to that heartbeat of human consciousness. Isn't that exciting? I don't know, it gets me goosebumps to think about it. Let's talk. If this is something that interests you, let's talk. Give me a call. There are ways in which we can work together. Giving me a call, talking for a while doesn't cost anything. I want to talk to you. I want to hear what you have to say and what you're thinking about. If there's deeper work to be done, you can certainly work with me. There is a mentoring program. There are healing sessions. There are more classes. There's always opportunity out there for you to learn and grow. You don't have to feel like you're alone in any of this. The Illumination Reiki program is starting at the end of February. We're really excited about that. Anybody who is trained in Reiki 1 and 2 can enroll in the Illumination Reiki program, the first series of which is 3.5 days. So we've put together quite a wonderful experience, and we're really happy that you would love to join us on that. Where will your path lead you? I hope it will lead you where you intend it to go. And you can certainly reach me anytime, secondnaturehealing.com. Very soon, now it does exist online, illuminationreiki.com. I'm not happy with that hosting program. I'm switching it over and just finally figuring it out. So we'll have Illumination Reiki up and running very soon. And you can also email me. And through my website, my phone number is there. And of course, you know me. You can register for the Healer's Journey webinar. If you're not on my list, only the people who are on my list are going to get follow-up emails that have the link for the recording and for any articles or exercises or any other communications that go along with each webinar. And I just want to say thank you for tonight. We covered it all in about a half an hour. I am going to shut off the recording, but also be on the line for a little while if you have any questions. And that's one of the advantages of being on the webinar with us live, is you get my attention for a little while.